Survivor specialist Phil and Alexa are back, and after last week being joined by pure evil, we figured how else to follow it up than with Brendan Shapiro from Ghost Island, one of Bradley's nemesis.
Nemesis,
I think it's. I'm just an English guy.
Glad to be here.
We're happy to have you. This will be good. Bradley has dug you quite a hole, Brendan, and I just want to announce this. There's 15 people in our power rankings game. And the Survivor team is currently in 14th strictly because of Bradley. So,
well, it's kind of like out on the island in a puzzle. If somebody's telling Bradley the moves to make, he'll do a great job. If he has to do it on his own, slightly different result, as we saw. But let's go. Let's move ahead.
I can't wait for our Twitter mentions to just blow up with Bradley.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the, Bradley can't do a puzzle now. That needs to happen. We need to hear about that, lawyer Bradley. But anyway, we're here to do predictions and power rankings for episode 3 with Brendan, who's going to try to dig out of this hole. There's 3 people who have 16 points right now. So they're killing it. Nobody had a perfect round last week though. Nobody had Keith in the last spot. And Brendan, I guess it's a good thing to ask you. You've watched the first 2 episodes of this season. What are you thinking of the season? Were you kind of surprised Keith went home? Would you have had him at 17? And what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, so at the beginning of this, at the beginning of the episode, I kind of figured Keith was in trouble. And then, well, actually, no, I take that back. At the beginning of the first episode, I thought like this kid's in over his head. And then, he showed some savvy out there. Like he knew when to jump off the train, like off the Ream train. And so I thought, I was ready to put this kid, because I was thinking ahead to my appearance. I was ready to put this kid kind of a little higher in the rankings. And so, yeah, I was shocked. Not so much that he went, but at his reaction to when he went. That was wild. That was not something I would have expected. Like and especially for how devastated he looked when he got voted out. The fact that he then hemmed and hawed, at the decision was like baffling. So it'll be interesting to see. I have a feeling that he's going to go ahead and turn left. But I'm not sure he's got it in him to stick it out. I'm not sure. He just doesn't look like he's ready for the whole thing.
Who do you think will last longer on this Extinction Island, Ream or Keith? And what do you think about this island as a whole?
Yeah, so I think Ream is going to last longer. Mm-hmm. That'd be my guess. I mean, what would be so crazy is if Keith didn't go, if Ream quit, and then whoever it is that gets at their third shows up to nobody and doesn't really know what's going on. That would be kind of cool. I don't think that's a likely outcome, but that would be pretty cool if it happened. I think Ream will hang in there longer. I think she'll just continue to hang in there. She seems to be pretty tough. So we'll see. As far as the theme is concerned, we were just talking about this a little bit before we got on. Honestly, it all remains to be seen. Like it's really so much a matter of production choices and the cast, really, ultimately. I think, there have been themes where the theme came out and I'm like, this is going to be sort of stupid or it's not the game I've ever seen. And then it's ended up being a really good season. And then there have been seasons that I thought were going to be great and they weren't. So I think it's so much to do with the cast first and foremost, and then the way it's produced and edited. And then kind of like the theme is the last thing. Mm-hmm. So, and there's so many variables, right? We don't know how Extinction Island is going to play out. Like we don't know if and when. I guess we know that people are going to have an opportunity to get back in the game, but we don't really know when. I have some theories on that, but and like how's the jury going to work? All that stuff, like it's a mystery. So I think depending on the decisions that the producers make and the way it's edited, I think it's going to make or break the season.
I really like your theory about. Sorry, Phil. Just your theory about. If Ream goes and Keith doesn't go, the third person voted out is starting from scratch and they have no idea.
And we could have a situation where if Wendy's ankle is as bad as it looks, we could have the first 3 people all not there. And then the fourth person voted out goes and realizes everybody's gone.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it'll be fun to watch it all play out.
Well, Brendan has promised us bold predictions, so we're going to.
We're here for the hot takes.
We're ready. You mentioned it beforehand, but we're going to get into these bold predictions. Whether you want to talk about them now or you want to do it as we start getting into the power rankings, it's up to you.
Yeah, so I'll give a couple predictions, and I have to give full credit where it's due. As people who know me know, I talk obsessively about Survivor with my whole family, but especially with my son Will, who's sitting over in the corner right now, and so we theorize constantly about how things might go down. and so I have to attribute a lot of this speculation to him more than it is me. He's a much better critical thinker than I am. So here's what we've come up with. Here's what we think. We think that it's going to be a swap at 14 players remaining.
Mhm.
Okay, so they're not. We had 18 in my season. We think at 14 is when we're going to see a swap. So not for a little while yet. I think that they're going to never go to 3 tribes in this season because you've got Extinction Island, right? So that essentially serves as your third location. So to have 3 tribes and Extinction Island or Island of Extinction or whatever it's called, that's a lot to do, right? So probably we're going to see, we haven't seen a whole lot of this, but we're probably not going to see them go to 3. And that maybe they merge at 11 and then have some kind of challenge among the Extinction Island people to put somebody back in to get 12 merged players. Those are, in terms of like the flow of the game, those are our bold predictions. What do you think?
I think that's interesting because what I was worried about is we get a B situation, which I don't think we're going to get. But if we got a B situation this week, Wendy has to get medevaced like right away. This ankle is really bad, and she gets medevaced at near the top of the episode. Yeah. And then somebody still gets voted off. But if you remember what happened last season when B went home, they swapped. And so if there's a swap, because it would be 15. So if you're going to do 3 tribes, that would be the time to do it. But I do like your thinking on if there's already Extinction Island, jumping around between 3 places is when it's at its best. Jumping around at 4 very rarely works.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to do. So I don't know. We had a couple other predictions. I think that, okay, so returning players, I think the last one to hang in there is going to be David. Okay. He's bulletproof, it would seem. So I think David's the last one hanging in. I mean, who knows? We'll see. What else?
What I like about David's chances is that going into the preseason, I don't know if you felt this way in the preseason versus after watching, but everyone thought David would be the first one to go out. And I think it was both you and Bradley who mentioned he's like the safest one. And it looks like he is. He's the only one with a real ally.
Yeah.
Lauren, but
and he's so threatening, yet nobody seems to see it. Like he's like the invisible man out there. I don't quite know how he does it. I've not met David in person, but it kind of comes through the TV screen, right? I mean, you can kind of see it. Like he just passes himself off as so non-threatening. And he really is not, if you think about it from the perspective of a potential ally, right? Like he offers an alliance nothing as a partner. And I don't mean that as a criticism. Like that's all he is dangerous. Like he's not going to help you. And so there's no good reason to keep him around. He is only threatening, yet he's going to, I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll be the guy voted out this week, but this is, I guess, a little preview. He's not at the bottom of my power rankings. I don't think he's going home this week.
Yeah. Well, he made that joke to Rick. He's like, yeah, just hang out with me until the final 5 and then chop my neck. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting about David is he can get away with saying something like that. And he even said, I don't know why I'm telling you this. And they were joking around. But he's saying it in such a joking manner that in his mind, he's saying Rick's probably going to do this to me. But the way he's saying it is making Rick almost think like, oh, I'm not going to do that to him. Like it does it in such a way that you just let your guard completely down every time.
Yeah. He's very disarming. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So I think I have a few more theories on what's going to happen, but I'm sure they'll bubble up to the top as we start talking about these players.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. I want to start off because this man is winning his way into my heart. Brendan, you were my guy in Ghost Island, but right now, I don't know if you feel that this is similar or different, but I have Wardog as my number 1 because this guy is just like, he's just my guy right now. I love Wardog. I think he's so entertaining in Twitterverse. And then I think on the show, we're seeing such a calm, kind of normal version of this guy. He's just a pretty normal guy.
He's got it all.
Yeah, and the edit God, he's getting so much strategic content in the edit, and he's on the right side of things, right? So he's it's a very promising edit so far. He looks really smart. He looks savvy. Like he made a point in the last episode about wanting to keep Kelly as a shield because he's looking down the road a little bit, and there again, like that's one where he is calm. He is kind of sitting back and playing the long game. which you have to do a little bit. And meanwhile, you've got David on the other hand saying we've got to get rid of Kelly, which I think is the worst thing for his game. But maybe he's just so confident in his ability, David is, to shed any kind of target that he can afford to get rid of Kelly. I don't know. It seems like if I were David, the last thing I'd want to do at this point is get rid of Kelly. But anyway, yeah, Wardog's smart, man. He's I mean, I can't believe we're calling him Wardog, but like he's like,
I love it. It's just so natural.
Does he have a real name? What is his real name? It's probably like Charles or something, right? What is his real name?
He's so like not a Dan.
Dan, okay. Yeah, no, he's playing a good game. He's impressive so far. And he's already in like episode 2 speaking about himself in the third person, which says about him, I guess. I'm not sure what it says,
awesome.
But yeah, I think he's trying to cultivate an image, so good for him.
Absolutely. And I will say, too, the only reason that I could see David wanting to go after Kelly, and this is just to kind of try to counteract that argument a little bit, is him and Kelly don't really align with similar people. So, you look at, here's David, who's really close with Rick Devens, and there's Kelly, whose closest ally is Lauren. And I wouldn't be surprised if David hasn't even spoken to Lauren yet, and if Kelly hasn't even spoken to Devens. Like, obviously they had, but in terms of how much they're talking to each other, I bet it's not much. Because that's just not who they gravitate towards. And maybe he feels threatened by that because she can lead an entire army that David might not have much in common with.
Right. Yeah. And that makes sense. I guess it's just, I think of it from my perspective. If I were out there and I were David or I were Kelly, the first thing I'd do is go to the other returnee first thing, and say, hey, we gotta stick together here. Because otherwise, I don't want to be the only returnee sitting on this tribe. It's then the target's huge, right? So I think it's in their mutual interest to get together. And eventually they'll have to cut each other's throats, but not yet. So we'll see how it all plays out.
I like how they broke out the returnees in these two tribes. And I know Phil made the point in the preseason that they had to separate Joe and Kelly because they played together. But if you look at those 4 and just immediately guess, you would say that Aubrey and David would work way better than Aubrey and Joe. They just seem like such an odd pairing. And it's the same with David and Kelly. And I got that impression in the premiere. You see both parties kind of talking to each other and not really interest in working together, but just interest in, hey, we need to cover each other's backs for 6 days.
Yeah. And so I mean, before we even jump into your number 1, Brendan, I just want to ask you, out of all the returnees, you said David, you think he'd go the furthest, but who do you think can overcome what's going on right now? Because David is the safest right now out of Joe, Aubrey, and Wentworth. Out of those 3, do you see any of them being able to overcome all the baggage they're coming in with from their previous seasons, or just being quoted by everybody on their tribe?
I don't think so. Aubrey's the most likely, despite the fact that she's played 1,000 days of Survivor. I think she's the most likely to do it. Although it looks like she's in a whole lot of trouble right now. So I don't know. Maybe I don't think what I just said is true, but here's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see Joe at Extinction Island before the merge. And I think there'll be an opportunity at the merge to come back in, and kind of consistent with the theme of how bad do you want it? That kind of stuff. They're going to make the get back in challenge some kind of endurance challenge, hang on a log or whatever, right? Stand in a really uncomfortable position for a really long time. So I like Joe's chances in that kind of, stand on a balance beam forever, right? So I like his chances. So I think I'll be surprised if we don't see him go out in the first half of the game, and I'll be surprised if we don't see him go back in the second half of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my feeling too.
Yeah, I think that's the flow that everyone's seeing. But then with those endurance challenges, I think you're right. If it's one of those holding onto a log, then that Joe is going to be the one to win that. But Phil made the point in the Redemption Island when they came back, Andrea beat these 5 tanks of men.
Yeah.
And I forget what the actual challenge was, but
holding your foot up on a seesaw thing. That's
yeah,
all
if
it
it's
was.
something as the word I'm going to use is if it's something as rudimentary as that, then Reem's going to come out of nowhere and somehow beat Joe, and it's going to be the weirdest.
Yeah, and there are certain challenges. If you watch them, there are certain challenges where you're better off. like a big strong guy isn't necessarily better off than a slender woman, right? Like if that slender woman is tough and strong, she may be in a better situation. Like if it's one of those where you're hanging over something, hanging out on a rope and your center of mass is really high, then it's harder than, whatever. So there's lots of different variables at play. So yeah, you can dream up lots of ways that Joe might not win his way back in, even if it is an endurance challenge.
Yeah.
Well, right now he's clearly proving himself useful. I mean, that's sitting pretty.
Yeah. Speaking of Joe and his reputation, if you're Joe, like all this talk about like, I need to dial it back, I can't be Joey Amazing and all this, it's nonsense in my opinion, because like Joe can't run from who he is, right? He can't run from his reputation. So even if all of a sudden he becomes like Joe Average, right? And he's kind of middle of the pack and in their challenges, I mean, the reality is everybody knows who he is. He can't run from it. So if I'm Joe at this point, like dialing it back doesn't help. All it does is you risk losing things. And so you might as well just double down on Joey Amazing, right? I mean, like, there's no upside to not being all of Joe, and there is some upside to being all of them. So, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for him to, like, it's just a joke. Like he cannot run from who he is at this point.
And the thing is, he's now playing for the third time in 4 years. And if you look at somebody like Colby, who, he was the original, like, great at challenges. And then by Heroes versus Villains, I remember Coach riding him back to the mat is one of the funniest things ever. But Colby also, that was 9 years. And he went through like that's 9 years of, I forget how old he was when he first played, but he was probably in his upper 20s. And now he's in his maybe mid 30s. Who knows like how far out of shape he's fallen. Everybody knows Joe is like, he was 25 the first time he played. Now he's 29. You're not going to be able to trick people into thinking you no longer know how to make a fire. You no longer know how to climb a rope. You no longer are the strongest person out there. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But who's your number one?
Okay, so number one, I've got Ron, because, I mean, this one's kind of a no-brainer, right? Ron's got an advantage that he has to play this week if he's going to play it. So there's no chance that Ron is going anywhere. I mean, unless something crazy happened. First of all, I think Kama's probably going to win the challenge. But even if they don't, Ron's got to play his advantage this week, if I'm not mistaken. That's right, isn't it? He's got to play
this week, correct. I have him at number one too for the exact same reason.
Yeah, so like I just don't see, I cannot imagine a situation where he goes. And frankly, even if he didn't have the advantage, he seems like he's in a pretty good spot right now. He's well liked, and he's not looked at as the biggest threat out there. I think he's looked at as an asset, but not as a big threat, which is where you want to be at this point in the game.
And just to continue to play devil's advocate on Brendan's theory of 14, how much do you look into this where Ron can only play this for the first 3 tribals? That's a pretty specific number. Do you think that has anything to do with they plan on swapping maybe after those first 3 tribals, and that's why Ron can't have it going into a swap?
It's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. I mean, yeah, that's possible. I just think we've seen I think we've seen less than desirable results from super early swaps in the last few seasons. So I mean, look, obviously it hurt me, but
specifically.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But my result to the side, I just think that I don't know. I think a swap at 18 is hard. A swap at 17 or 16. Or 16 is maybe more likely. I don't know. 17's awfully early. So, or I guess it would be 16 if after this tribal. So yeah, maybe we're looking at one there. That could happen. And so then we'd be looking if my split to 2 is correct, then we're looking at 2 tribes at 8. That could happen.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I just want to, I figure I'd throw it out there because why can Ron only play it for the first 3 tribals? That's so specific. And normally it'll just you have to use this the first tribal or the first time you go to tribal. But
I think it could be as simple as they just want action, right? Like they don't put an idol on the island unless they want it to. They want to see it played. They don't want I mean, the whole point of having idols in play is to play them. And so by putting expiration dates on them, it's like, hey, let's keep this thing moving. Let's get it rolling. So that may just be simply a production decision to kind of spike the action.
Yeah, because if they swap after this tribal, then it's 15 people, and it'd be 2 tribes of 7, and then does someone go to exile? Like it's
I know.
And then we're back to like the 4 different camera shots.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the expiration date though. I'm a huge fan of these kind of idols. I know it didn't really work with Chris in your season, but it was I like the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I have Ron at 3. I mean, I think Ron is completely safe this week. I just wanted to put 2 other people on my team ahead of him since I have all 3 of Wardog, Lauren, and Ron on my fantasy team. Which, like, Brendan, you pick a 5-person team and you get Wardog, Lauren, and Ron. How do your opponents let that happen?
Yeah, that's I don't know.
This is me throwing Alexa and Vaughn under the bus real quick. I have to.
I'm fine with it.
But that's what I have. I have Wardog at 1.
Look what you just did. You just triggered her.
Alexa. Oh, there you go. This is always fun when that happens. But I have Wardog at 1. I have Lauren at 2, and then I have Ron at 3. I mean, Lauren and Ron both have idols, and then I just think Wardog is in a position where how are the numbers ever going to get changed on him? But it's going to be interesting. I would like to see Kama go to tribal before there is a swap, because I always feel like that's always better. I always want to see each original tribe go to tribal, because it just, now we know where everybody stands, and then there's no, fake, I'm aligned with that person going into a 3-person, a 3-tribe scenario or a new tribe of 2 where you're just going to go on tribal lines like Navidi did.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at my notes. I missed everything you just said.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Alexa, jump in. Brendan's gone.
I'm going to jump in. So we talked about Ron. Ron's at number 1. I have Lauren at number 2, and I know that's so easy to put the people with idols up top, but I'm doing it anyways. I actually go Wardog down at number 3, because Lauren and Wardog, even though they're on the tribe that has continued to lose, and I think to Brendan's point, they probably will lose again. We got a little more action with the Kama tribe on the preview, so I'm not 100% sure, but with what happens with Wendy's ankle, I can't imagine that we're not going to be spending a lot of time on that beach. But Lauren and Wardog are people who probably aren't even going to get a single vote. Like, Lauren is hidden enough behind, they're both hidden enough behind the shield of Kelly, and I'm so into Lauren not telling anyone about this idol. Nobody ever does this, and she's not even telling someone who is her Survivor idol. So it's really impressive. I think Lauren's completely fine. I think Wardog's in a fantastic position. He's been enough of a dissenting opinion where he's able to get his opinions across, but it doesn't bother a single person because he conveys it in such an appropriate and reasonable way. And I've never really seen anyone do it that perfectly before. So they're both in a great spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have Lauren second also, which obviously she has the idol. She seems to have hitched her wagon to Kelly, which is potentially dangerous as you look a couple votes ahead. We'll see. But for now, I think she's in a really good spot. She may be. I think production is always looking for the next Andrea, and I think she may be that. Maybe that's what she was supposed to be, and that she may turn out to be that. So we'll see. Like, she's got the early kind of look of somebody who's going to be a multi-timer, so yeah, she's in really good right now. I'd be surprised if she doesn't go really far in the game.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, she's got the more. I know she's living in Texas now, and she's originally from Los Angeles, but she has more of like a Midwestern style to her that I think they're going for.
She's actually living in DC right now. She's at med school at Georgetown, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Cool.
I thought she was just a permanent college athlete.
Yeah, she graduated from Baylor. I think this like right before she played the game, like a week before she played the game or something like that. And then she played, and then now she's I believe she's in med school at Georgetown University. So she's added to the very small list of DC area survivors.
Yeah, which Vaughn, who always comes on our fantasy game, he mentions that all the time. It's like he was mad this year. Who was it that didn't say that they were from Maryland? It was Julia, I think. He was disappointed that she didn't say that she was from Maryland.
Yeah, and now she's I don't know where she I don't know where she is, but yeah, Rutgers. That's right. Will's telling me she's Rutgers. So yeah, I thought she was also in the
fact checking you. I love
it. Yeah. So we've got her. We got Reem. Reem's from a town not too far from mine. She's had a little bit of tough go, but so we got another add to the list. Recently, we had Gabby join. So like we had for a long time, there was nobody from DC. Matthew von Ertfeldt like 1,000 years ago, and he was it. And then and then John Cochran's from not too far from where I am right now, but he doesn't, he hasn't lived here in forever. So really, it was just nobody. And then Candace and John Cody moved in, so then we had a little DC representation. Then I played. Then Gabby moved here, so now Reem and Lauren. So we got a little crew now. We're
got a big crew now.
Yeah, now you gotta start doing what do you call those, watch parties? Brandon. Not to throw you on the spot live, but now you gotta start doing watch parties.
Get everybody out to the suburbs. We'll.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really cool. Yeah, I didn't realize that's where Lauren was at now, but I do think that I think you're spot on with the Andrea comparison. I really do. Strategic woman who, is athletic as well. They're going for that. And like also kind of young and maybe like, when Andrea played the third time, she was so much wiser than she was when she played the first time. And I think that's what they're trying to set Lauren up to be. Although what Lauren proved in that last episode is that she's pretty damn smart right now. She gets the game really well.
Yeah, and I think it is smart to keep the idol to yourself until you need to share that information. We've seen a lot of players where they'll keep the secret for a day or two, and then eventually they let the cat out of the bag because they just can't contain themselves, or they think there's some strategic advantage. So it could be that she lets people know at some point. But yeah, smart move right now to keep it, kind of keep it under wraps.
Yeah. So Brendan, you're the only one who hasn't done their number 3 yet. Who do you have?
Yeah. So number 3, 4. So I actually have Wardog a little farther down the list, simply because he is Manu, and I think Manu is going to continue to lose. So I have a couple comma guys tied, kind of 3 and 4. You can put them either way. I don't really flip flop them, but I think Eric and Gavin are my 3 and 4. I'll go Eric 3, Gavin 4, whatever. Okay. They seem to be in a really good spot. They're tight with each other, but as far as we can tell, that doesn't seem to bother anybody just yet. They are interested in kind of keeping Joe around as a shield, so they're thinking a little bit down the road. So they're being edited to show some strategic chops, and so yeah, I think those guys are in a really good spot. Again, they're assets to their tribe, yet they're not seen as the biggest threat, which I think is really the place you want to be early in the game. So I think Eric and Gavin are both in a really good spot. In a preseason Survivor Fantasy League, I picked Eric to win. So so I'm hoping he can go the distance. So anyway, those are my 3 and 4.
Alexa and I were both super high on Eric coming into the season, and then right before the season aired, we got sent a video where he didn't even know that Survivor players were called castaways. And I was like, I can't take this. There's no way he's going to win the game. And now I'm watching this episode, and like, I really feel like he could be your winner of this season because Kama keeps winning and Eric keeps getting some screen time. It reminds me of, bad word here, but Michelle Fitzgerald in Korong, where every time she won, she still got like one confessional at least. That's what Eric is doing right now. He's getting something.
Well, says Jeremy also. Yeah. So, and Eric, I know the interview you're talking about where he's like castaway, like you mean like from like Tom Hanks, or whatever. I think he was joking. Like
That's a bad joke though.
I heard
a bad joke, but I think he was joking. Who knows?
I saw something on the internet where someone commented on that because I don't think that was the only video where that incident happened. But I think someone was like, he is actively doing this. Like he is extremely aware of what he's doing. And he, for whatever reason, is choosing to come off that way. In which case, like, that's a genius move, and I love it.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Michelle Fitzgerald getting random content when it's not necessary, I have Julie at number 4 because
wait, hold on, Julie or Julia?
Julie, the toy maker.
Which is going to bring up the question of how do you feel about wooden toys?
We need to know. Yeah,
I love Julie, the toy makers. So I'll get to her in a second, but yeah, okay.
So anyways, she's getting content when she doesn't need to. And that is a huge, like, green light for me.
Or it's a flashing red light. We're going to find out next time.
Yeah, we'll find out. She's either going to go down in flames or she's going to win. There's zero middle ground. She has done perfectly well in challenges. She's proven to be personable. She had a conversation with Victoria where the conversation very well could have not gone well. And she and Victoria were just like chatting like they were best friends. And in the premiere, we got her like, oh, I'm not very outdoorsy. I live in New York City. We didn't need to get that. We didn't need to have her narrating about finding an idol because Lauren was the one who found an idol. So we're getting a lot of content from Julie when we don't necessarily need to. And I think that says a lot about her longevity. And also, Brendan, we need to know, what are your thoughts on wooden toys versus plastic toys?
My official position is I don't care even a little bit. Okay, so so as far as Julie's concerned, I have her. So you have her fourth. Is that right?
I think she's super safe.
Okay. Well, I don't want to jump ahead. I've got her close to that, but I'll who do you have fourth, Phil?
All right. I'm glad you didn't have as much of a stance on the wooden toys. I'm literally terrified of them, and Bradley was just ripping me apart. So.
I think they're very nice.
My rational fear is clowns. So if it's like a wooden toy of a clown, now that would be terrifying.
No, they're more like what, like horsies and families. I think
they're like little. Yeah, they're. I mean, I looked at it for 2 seconds, was like, I'm done with that. That's enough. And it's nothing against Julie. It's just literally no wooden toys for me. So, but you know. I like Julie, but I'm a little more skeptical because of what Brennan just said. Either it's a green light or it's a big flashing red light, because this could mean that she's actually one of the early boots from Kama, but she kind of goes for no reason, and we're supposed to like her. I mean, you could almost get a Stephanie Johnson type vibe from Julie here, where she's getting content despite the fact that maybe she's not going to go deep anyway.
You guys are onto something. She could be the one who's voted out and maybe gets back from Extinction Island.
That's it.
There are a lot of possibilities. I'm going to guess she's my number 5.
Okay, so,
Can I go there?
All right. Absolutely. You can go wherever you want. Bradley gave us like 12 second left.
Here's my feeling on Julie. First of all, I thought she came off great in the last episode. So it was a super favorable edit. Right. So because she came off, I don't tweet that much, but I tweeted. I felt compelled to tweet as I watched it. Like, this is we were watching the show, and Will and I turned to each other like, oh, she's going deep. Like right after the little deal where she's talking about searching for idols she's playing really well right now. Like, I mean, in terms of like her image on TV plays really well. But you never know, right? This could be the situation. This could be the Allie Elliott situation, or the or the Morgan Ricky situation, where you're seeing that person and some content from that person who is on the tribe that doesn't go to tribal council very much, because they need you to get to know her a little bit and invest a little bit emotionally before she gets kicked out, right? So, so it could be that. I'm hoping it's the opposite. I think probably, and the reason I've got her at my number 5 is that. I think she's going to go really far. Her content is like, it's insightful, it's strategic, and she's very rootable at this point. And so I think she's going to go far, or else she's going to go this week. But I have her at 5 because I think she's going to go far. What's alarming is that she was in the very first challenge, the first person to sit out, right? So that means that her tribe regards her as like the kind of like the weak one or the old one, which is sad because, I think probably she's neither weak nor old. Well, I know she's not old, but she's not, I think she's probably, that's a very strong tribe. I was surprised to see her sitting out actually, but I think, if that's any indication of so I can imagine a situation where if they lose a challenge and they all have the freak out of like, whoa, this is a lot more fun to win than to lose. We just need to make sure we win at all costs next week. I could see them saying, well, she's not that awesome in challenges. Let's get rid of her. And it's just an easy vote. But I think much more likely she's sticking. I think Kama's going to win, but even if they don't win, I think she's sticking around. And I think we're seeing all this content because, as Alexa said, they're trying to establish her as a major player in the game, and we're going to see a lot more of her down the road.
And the thing with Julie too is she's not your typical person that Survivor gives you. Like you just mentioned Allie Elliott, you mentioned Morgan Ricky. They're both like the younger female rooting interest there. And Julie, normally what ends up happening in a situation like Julie is you'll get like somebody like Eve, who was on she barely got any content, and that was back in Nicaragua. She barely gets any content and just goes home. But the fact that we're getting Julie, and for the most part, as it's just a fact, they do normally tend to ignore the older woman. And right now they're purposely showing us her, which makes me think she's like, and she's not Natalie Cole, where it's the older woman who's also a great TV villain. I think there's a good reason for this, and I think you're both right that she is going to last a long time.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is a lot of times the older woman, even if they're not inflammatory, they're like annoying, right? Like they just can't find a way not to annoy the rest of the tribe, and they can't fit in. And they're showing her fit in and relate to everybody else. So yeah, I think it's good things for her.
Yeah, I think they're showing her even better than fitting in. Like, she's smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it seems like.
Yep.
Well, my 4 and 5, just to catch up to Brendan here, 2 people who haven't been mentioned yet. 2 Manu guys. I got Chris and then I got Rick. And Rick is probably more tricky to put this high, but I just think he's getting a really good edit. I think he's got David as a shield. I don't see him going home. He's great TV. I love this guy. But the reason I have Chris at 4, there is no ego on this guy. And we saw that last week when he went up to Wardog and started talking to Wardog, and then Wardog kind of shot him down. And both of them were just so level that entire conversation. And I think on a tribe that keeps losing, you need strength. And I think so Chris stays. And I also think if he's okay with pushing his own game aside to make sure that the tribe gets what they want. And getting rid of Keith last week, I think, was an instance of that, because he could have gotten rid of Wentworth, I think, if he really wanted to.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah, I agree on Chris. I think he's so I have Chris as my number 7. Yeah, he's my number 7, so not too far off. And for all the reasons you just said, he's being shown, he's getting a really good edit. He's also being shown as like compassionate, just like the good guy. He's getting the good guy edit, right? It's like kind of like when you see somebody get credit for being a really good guy and genuine guy and nice, and I feel bad for this guy because he's such a big. Like he's talking about Keith, like, I feel bad for Keith. He's such a big fan. He wants to be here so much, and then you don't really see him get his hands dirty. It happened, right? He voted for him, but you didn't see it happen. It's kind of like in my season when you see Michael torn up about having to vote out Stephanie, but then they don't really show you him doing the deed, right? It's like. You just see you're seeing the compassionate side of the guy. It's a good, clean edit. So, there's I think he's probably in really good shape as well. So he's my 7, my 6 going back a step, or have we jumped way ahead of you, Alexa?
This mine fits in with that. So you go ahead.
All right. So my, just ahead of Chris. So I guess at number 6, I have Rick, Devens. So Rick, to me, he's like right now, at least the way we're seeing it on TV, he is the hub of all strategic talk on Manu, right? Like anyone talking to anybody, he's in the middle of it. And that's a really good place to be. And so I think he's plugged in with everybody. He is not seen as terribly threatening just yet. So I think he's in a really good spot.
Yeah, I think just Rick is so much fun to watch too. And now on a really good cast, I think he might be the most entertaining even out of the returning players.
Yeah. So Rick is also getting a really entertaining edit, and so obviously that would lead us to believe that maybe he's gonna be hanging around for a while.
Yeah, he's in the narrator role, but not in a boring way. Like he makes the narration very exciting and as if you're there. Yeah, which is literally his job. So this makes sense.
Yeah. He better be good at that.
Yeah, one would hope. He talks to the camera every single day.
Alexa, why don't you catch up? You're at 4. So
I'm actually going to jump to my 8 because we've talked about all of them. So, and I just feel like getting ahead. So I go Eric at 5, Gavin at 6. So similar to Brendan, they're pretty hand in hand. I think they're fine. Even ignoring challenge-wise, they have each other. And no one is commenting on the fact that they have each other. At one point, I was a little nervous that they were a little separated from the group. The whole thing is that like Eric wasn't seen in the Ron and Aubrey dance-off video, but I think the 2 of them are fine. No one seems to be commenting on them being so close. And then I go Chris at 7, and then Rick at 8. So kind of like what you guys said, Chris handled big quotes on the word rejection. Chris handled rejection fairly well. He and Wardog are definitely closer than we're being led to believe, because we see him talking to Wardog when he already had the numbers. So he already had the numbers to make this move, which ended up not happening, but he still was conferring with him. So I think those 2 are fine. He's obviously going to be finding challenges. He doesn't seem to be rubbing anyone the wrong way. And I hate that I have Rick at 8 because that's my halfway point. The only devil's advocate that I could say for Rick possibly going home is that maybe people want to get rid of David and they're so afraid of him having an idol, so they hit his best friend. But to me, his his narration and his strategic content, like you said, Brendan, there's no reason for Rick to go home right now.
Yeah, and as far, I agree with all that. As far as the dance off is concerned, my little bit of insight there is typically when you see everybody but one person in a group doing something, there's a reasonable. I mean, you have to understand, like, everybody talks to cameras every day, right?
Yeah.
And so the chances, and it's, you know, during the day, and it takes a while, right? So there's, if I were betting on it, I'm betting that he was at that very time, like, giving an interview, because everybody had to do it at some point.
That's a good point. That's something you don't think about, but yeah, you're probably right on that.
Yeah. Brendan, more importantly, were there any Malolo dance-offs that didn't make the air?
No, however, we had the, like, obligatory let's all go on the beach and do yoga bit, you know, and it was as awkward as I mean, imagine, like, Jacob Derwin, imagine me doing yoga, right? It's like, so it was super, super awkward, and I think it would make the air, but you know, with 20 minutes devoted to Ghost Island, I guess you can only show so much. So
who led it?
But we were all in, like, downward dog or whatever that's called.
Who led it?
Johnson. Yeah. That's
okay.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I was hoping that there was going to be a secret scene that came out of, like, you and the Ron Clark role doing the same dance that happened.
Ron Clark's got some moves. He's got some serious moves.
He does. Yeah. No, no, we never did that. We never had, like, you know, like a breakdancing competition or anything.
Dang.
I should have, maybe in retrospect.
Yeah.
Next time.
Exactly. Well, I'll get the two boring ones out of the way here. I got Gavin at 6, Eric at 7, and it's just like I could see these two guys being 2 of the final 3. I could see them working together that long, and it's just who's going to get the credits for the moves, because we're seeing so much of them that's really not necessary. And we're seeing that they're the ones who are really pushing to get rid of the returnees, which looks like what is going to happen if Kama loses. So, yeah, I love where Gavin and Eric are at. I just called it Garrick and Avin.
Gavick?
Yeah, God. Yeah, so Gavin at 6, Eric at 7. Brendan, who do you have at 8?
Okay, so my 8 is Joe. And it's a function of the fact that I think Kama's going to keep winning, and then the first taste of losing they get, if it's, you know, before there's any kind of swap or anything like that, the first taste of losing, they're going to freak out and be like, "Whoa, winning's a lot more fun. Let's not lose again." And so they will. Their knee-jerk reaction is going to be to keep around the guy that they think is the key to victory. So. That's just a gut feel, but I think that actually Joe's in a really good spot, despite the fact that he's still Joey Amazing.
Mm-hmm. I have him at 8 as well, and I think it's funny that Joe was the first of the returnees to not get a confessional, because he probably has the biggest fan base, I would think, out of all the returnees. Like everyone, like, I mean, everybody loves Joe every time he plays, or at least, like, you know, I hate saying it, but like casual fans love Joe. So I'm surprised that he didn't get a confessional in that last episode, but I think that even tells you more that he's fine, because if Joey Amazing is going to go home in episode 3, they're going to let you get as much Joey Amazing as possible before that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think also, though, like, you got to think about why people love Joe. They love Joe for what he does in challenges. They love Joe for what he does around camp. Like, Joe's not like people love they'll love Rick Devens, or they love Cochran, or they love these people because of what they do, or like David, because of what they do when they're being interviewed, right? That's never been really Joe's thing, you know. It's like that's not why everybody's all on the Joe train. So he's got lots of other great reasons why everybody loves Joe. So so the fact that he's not getting a lot of confessionals may just be that, like, there's not a lot there just yet. And you know, when your tribe is winning, there's not that much to, you know, the content's not as interesting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's funny that, like, you had Victoria, Gavin, Eric, Julie, and no Joe. That's pretty cool. You know, that's different than what we're used to.
And maybe it's just production feeling like, well, everybody knows who Joe is already, and we need to introduce these other characters, and we have precious, like, little time to do it because they keep winning. So so we've got to find a way to get them, you know, kind of get viewers invested in all these people.
So we were talking about this before we went live, but we were talking a little bit about the captain seasons. And how do you think they're doing introducing these newbies compared to previous captain seasons? Because Alexa and I we've been focusing on these people for a month now. So we know who they are, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I think this group of captains and the group, I think a lot of it is to do with the players, how the players react to the captains. So, and maybe this is just part of like the evolution of Survivor overall, or maybe this is the personalities that they picked. But like, if you think back to, if you think back to like Rob and Russell as captains, that was a disaster because Rob had a bunch of people that were just like willing to do whatever he wanted for the entirety of the game. And so I think it may be so far so good. And I think it's maybe a tribute to the casting and to the people that they've got playing with the returnees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been much, much better.
This has been like by and away the best way. I mean, in terms of captains, this is by and away like the most that we've learned, and we're only 2 episodes in. So I'm pretty optimistic about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
because even Philippines, which I loved, there was still half the cast you didn't know until the merge hit. And then some of them you still didn't get to know. So my number 9 is Julie, which you both already talked about. I really like Julie. I just put her a little bit lower just in case they're about to pull a fast one on us. Because I would have never thought Keith was going home this week based on just what happened in episode 1, because he got such a big edit and he was learning to swim and he was doing all of that and he knew when to jump ship. So I'm now a little worried that maybe they're about to pull another one on us like with Julie.
Yeah. It could be. Hopefully not, but I could see that.
Yeah. So whoever wants to go with their 9 next.
Take it away, Brendan.
Okay, so my number 9 is Wardog. So I know he's a little bit lower than he is for you guys. I think part of that is just because he's on Manu, and he's out there, like he's a big character. And so, but it could be that on the island he's not as big a character as he is in our living rooms. Like it may be that we're just seeing it in the edit, but like out there he's just blending in. If what he says about himself is true, he's playing a really smart game. Like at one point I wrote this down. He's like, I want the plan to be my plan, but I want everyone to think it's their plan too.
Yes,
and that's how you play Survivor, right? So like, that's when I was there, that was my whole thing is like, if I suggested, hey, let's move the vote from Jenna to Gonzo, I would say like, hey, everybody wants to move the vote from Jenna to Gonzo. It's my idea, but like I'm trying to, make it seem like all those other guys want to do it. It's like this nebulous thing. So I think that's the way you got to play the game is at least early is make it seem like you're not running things. And then, there is a time at which you've got to appear to be running things, but it's too early right now to be doing that. And it would appear that Wardog has a pretty good intuitive sense of how to play it, that maybe now is not the time to be out in front. So yeah, I think he's really impressive. I have him all the way down at what is this? 9 because, just because he's on Manu. I think if you were on Kama, I'd have him a good deal higher up.
I can't wait for you to get roasted on Twitter by Mr. Wardog himself after this.
That's what he does, Brendan.
So here's the other way he's not going anywhere. So I've noticed that on Twitter, he's all over Twitter these days, right? And talking a big game on Twitter. If he were going to go home this week, like if he were getting voted out, it would just look so foolish for all the, I don't know, all the kind of like the self-aggrandizing that he's doing on Twitter. So I just think he cannot possibly be at risk this week or anytime soon for that.
Yeah, and he's calling out big name people. Like he's not calling out like people that like, they played years ago and we forget who they are, but he's calling out like Cass. And like it's hilarious that he's doing it. And I think who else did he call out? I know he called out Cass. I forget who else it was, but you can tell he just doesn't care. And he's having a good time with it. And like,
I don't think that he doesn't care. I think it's very calculated, I would guess. Like he's smart, right? He knows what he's doing. Like he's paving his way to go back and play again, and good for him. I mean, he's playing the game. So, because I mean, the game doesn't end when Survivor ends, right? Like he's still playing. So, it doesn't surprise me that he's calling people out. He seems like that's his thing, right? And it's working for him. It's going to get him a lot of attention. So, I don't know that it's like as it's not reckless. I think it's very calculated.
No, I hear you. Hey, Bradley's like the sweetest guy you ever met, right? And he's still trying to act like a villain. So what are you gonna do?
Bradley is the sweetest guy you've ever met until often he is. So here's what I'll say about Bradley. Because I hit him early, but he said that, like, we're friends, and the truth is we are friends. I love Bradley; he's my guy. And but he said it like out on the island, we would, oh God, we drive each other crazy because there are those people in your life where you love them and they're great, but if you ever had to live with them, it would be a disaster.
Absolutely.
You'd probably punch him in their face. Well, that for me, because he. Like in certain ways we're very similar, but in certain ways we're so different. Like, and he was talking about how I'd be giving pep talks on Extinction Island about like, hey, it's not so bad. Like, we're going to make it, and of course he'd be like in his Squidward voice, like, no, this is terrible. Whatever.
SpongeBob and Squidward. That's the comparison.
That's a great, I love this Squidward comparison. That's amazing.
But, and so we would, and he would, I think, he said that on Extinction Island, he would just drive everybody crazy. And I think he would. I think he'd do really well out there. I think this season is like made for Bradley. But yeah, no, he's my guy. We've learned, we spent a lot of time together. Like, we spent a lot of time together after the game, and then we've been in contact. Of course, we've met up and gone like on vacations together, stuff like that. So like we've come to an understanding, and it's nothing but love. But we like giving each other a hard time, and I'm sure if we were in a confined space, it might get ugly from time to time.
Yeah. There you go. So you said Bradley would do good on this season. Brendan, we haven't asked you this yet, and we're almost an hour into this. How would you do with Extinction Island? If that was on your season and you got voted out 17th, how would you have done with Extinction Island?
Oh, I would have killed it. So here's the thing, like the existence. So I think it all depends on where you're coming from, right? Like this season, they jump off of a boat where they've got all these supplies and they're set up really nicely. And like just in this last episode, like I noticed things having played, like I noticed it's just throwaway stuff, but like they're all sitting around chit-chatting and like Kelly's eating a stalk of celery. Like there's no celery out there, right? And I'm realizing like that's day 4 or 5, and it's just stuff they pulled off the boat when they came in. And we really went in with nothing. And so by day, whatever, I don't know, like day 4 or 5, we didn't really have anything. I was eating mostly snails and even the coconuts had been pretty well harvested because they had played on that beach like the season before. So like it was the merge beach the season before. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't get the sense that they restocked coconuts for us, right? It's what's there. And so there just wasn't a lot. I was sleeping on the dirt. I just don't see how, for me, like I think for the people that are on those beaches right now, Extinction Island might be a hell of a lot different from what they're used to. For me, I don't know that it would have been a whole lot different. And so, I don't know. I think I could have hung in there. That's Survivor for me was never really so much about how difficult the conditions were. It's really more about just trying to navigate the game and hope you play it the right way and make the right decision. So, no, I would have killed to be able to hang in the game and with a chance to get back in. I feel jealous that I didn't get to do it. What's crazy about it is that island, I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure that the island that they're using for Extinction Island is the island where we opened our game. So like
it's got that long patch of sand.
Yeah. So we came up on that island and we did our challenge that we did to start the game. That's the island they're using. And what's interesting about that island is when you're on Malolo, or what is now Kama, you can see that island. Like you're on the beach looking out, just if you go out to collect snails or whatever, that's the island that's straight ahead of you that you can see. So what's pretty wild is that like if Reem made a big enough fire, they could see the smoke from that fire. And what Reem doesn't realize right now is that the people, the Kama tribe is like, a straight shot. I mean, which would probably make it even harder for her if she knew that that's where they were. They were like,
it's almost worse.
But anyway.
No, that's really cool. I didn't even realize that. That's a fun little tidbit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What season is it? Is it Cook Islands where Ozzy's tribe just like wanders through the forest and stumbles upon another tribe? Or it's something happens where like they accidentally stumble upon another camp, and everyone's like, oh crap, this probably wasn't supposed to happen. So now I want Reem to make this gigantic fire, but I'm sure they'll avoid that.
Or just start swimming, so you hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So who hasn't gone yet? Alexa, who's your number 9?
My number 9 is Julia Carter, Miss the only one who does not yet have a confessional, which I'm sure she is over the moon about. This is pretty much strictly edit-wise. Kind of this is sort of the opposite of my reasoning for Julie. If Julia was going to go, we would have heard something from her, because we're not going to meet Julia when she, like, let's say she gets voted out this week and then she goes to the island of extinction, whatever it is. We're not going to meet her then. We still need to meet Julia. And the few times we have seen her, she's been with people. It's not like she's alone and she's reclusive. She was like picking her teeth with Victoria when Aubrey was trying to start a dialogue. She's always been around. And so that makes me really, really comfortable for her. She's clearly not sticking out. And at this phase of the game, that's a really good position to be in.
Yeah, so I have her a little bit farther down the list, but I'll go ahead and talk about her since you brought her up. So I have her 12th, and so she's getting an invisible edit so far, which sucks for her. And it probably
fuel.
Yeah, it probably means she's safe, but she could be getting the Rourke treatment.
Yeah,
because Rourke. Hey, Will, did she have confessionals before she got voted out? Before the episode where she got voted out? Okay, so Rourke might have had one confessional in the premiere, and then she didn't have any before the episode where she was voted out. So she could be getting the Rourke treatment. We'll see.
I need to hire Will. I need to hire Will to sit across from me. So when I say something wrong, he can just tell me what's right, because the chat always blows me up. And now you have a safety net there having Will. That's not fair.
This is amazing. We just need to be like be our like commissioner and just like buzz us whenever one of us is wrong.
Yeah.
He keeps chiming in, like giving me looks when I say something stupid or whatever. He knows everything. So anyway, yeah, I think that she probably is safe. But here's the deal: if we see her, if pre-challenge, if she gets a confessional, it's curtains for this week.
And I would say,
like, if you see a confessional or one or two early in the episode, gone.
I completely agree, and this is why I have her even lower than you, Brendan. And I'll tell you, it's because we're being played up that it's going to be Aubrey or Joe. Well, if it's not going to be Aubrey or Joe, who's it going to be? Probably Julia, because Aubrey and Julie, like Aubrey hasn't really gotten along with Julia. So I think it would be Julia, maybe Victoria, but I have more confidence in Victoria.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
but I actually have Victoria at 10. So maybe that's too high for Victoria.
I have Victoria at 10 too. I think Victoria's totally safe.
She's almost been the narrator for Comma, where she's been talking about everything that's going on, who people are kind of looking to target. She was big in that Julie scene, and she's more of the subdued Devens. Like she's a normal narrator where Devens is your loud.
She's plugged in. Could be. Yeah, or it could go the other way.
Victoria's also tight, quote unquote, from what we've seen. She's tight with Julie. So we haven't seen many alliances in Comma. It's really only been Gavin and Eric. And I'm confident with Julie and Victoria being together. So that gives me a lot of confidence with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think that if Victoria were to go this week, I mean, she's gotten enough content to go, but the thing is, all we've heard from Gavin and Eric is we want to get rid of a returnee. So if they have that chance, they're going to go to Julie, Julia, and Victoria. And then you have 5-4 anyway. You don't need anybody else. So that's why I'm feeling okay about it. But I could be completely wrong.
Brendan, who's your 10? Phil and I got to 10.
So my 10 is Aurora. I think she's fine. I think she's fine. So she's we're getting down to that point where the only people ahead of somebody like Aurora are people who I think are actually kind of stand out as maybe being at risk. I'd be shocked if Aurora went anywhere. She's the kind of player, like she's the archetype, in my opinion, she's the archetype that can like sleepwalk their way to the merge, because she's a relatively fit 30-something woman who doesn't annoy people, like has social skill. Like that's just like that's like
perfect.
Great shot to the merge, like it's good. That's a good place to be, because I keep saying it, but there you are, you're an asset to your tribe without being considered the biggest threat. And maybe that's not fair that like a fit 30-something woman isn't considered the biggest threat. Maybe they should be, but historically they're not considered that. And so, so I think she's golden, I think, for a while, I would guess. You never know. I mean, things break fast in Survivor, and maybe she'll do something to piss somebody off. But I think probably she seems to be like her confessional last week was talking. It was just like talking about like how everybody's getting along at comma. It's just kind of a throwaway. Like they gave her a little time, but it was, I don't know. I think she's fine.
Yeah, I have Aurora at 11.
Aurora at 11. Oh, wow. I cut out. Mine totally cut out. That's why I just started talking. I thought everybody
that worked out
paused.
perfectly, though. We both said the same thing at the same time.
Okay. Well, there you go. We both have Aurora at 11. I didn't hear what was said before that. I guess my internet cut.
I feel, I don't know if you feel the same way, but Brendan, you said you have like Aurora seems low, but everyone below her is like very likely to go home, and I agree with you. I don't think she's going to go home. Everything we've seen from her has been, like you said, she was like, I know Eric was the star of the show with that snake, but she was just propped up there and like chucking that thing over. So she's excellent in challenges. All of her content has been like, things are going great. So I think Aurora's fine. She and Victoria are kind of acting as the narrators for Kama, but to your point, there's nothing really to narrate right now. The only thing that would ever make me nervous for her is if this Kama trap does go to tribal council. Like you said, Phil, Joe and Aubrey are going to be the centers of attention. She's the kind of probably the only one who I can't really comment on who she's friends with, because we haven't really needed to see that. But that's the only thing that can make me nervous. But I think it would still be Aubrey or Joe who went home way before her. Am I being fact checked?
I don't know. I wanted to say the only thing that makes me nervous with Aurora is that, let's say she's been getting this edit where everything's so great over on Kama, we're having a great time, and they could be setting her up to be the first person to get voted out of Kama when she thinks it's going to be an 8-1 vote, and she goes home in a real blindside.
Yeah.
So that could also happen, but I don't think it happens this week because I don't think Kama's actually going to lose. I think we're just being told that. But I'm curious to see what's brewing over here right now.
Something good.
Yeah. So Will was just pointing out that her only confessional where she talked about another player specifically was about how much she loves Joe. So she's in the Joe camp. But yeah, no, she's fine. And honestly, like, even though I have her 10th or whatever, I put her odds at getting voted out on Wednesday at 5%, 2%, whatever. She's not going to.
Where do you start to get worried then? Because I mean, if you want to jump into your 11, we already know Julia's your 12. Where do you actually start to get worried that these people might start going home this week?
Yeah, so I'll say is my number 11. And David, I already told you I think David's going to be the last to get voted out if he does at all. But I think that, I don't know. I question his eagerness to get rid of Kelly. I think it's a bad strategic move at this point. But maybe he just knows he's so good that he doesn't need her as a shield. Maybe that's his thing. Maybe he just has that level of confidence. But there's going to come a point with Manu, and I have him that low because if Manu keeps losing and they don't swap for another couple of votes, there's going to come a point at which it's like the target can't help but at least move past him at some point. So David should be targeted. Maybe he's my 11 not because he is going to be targeted, but I know he should be targeted. So it's like seeping into my brain. But yeah, David's my 11.
Yeah, David's hard for me to ever move from this spot. It's like with Aubrey the first time she played when we would do power rankings, I always had Aubrey really low because initially I thought she'd go home early, and then she didn't do anything to really change that perspective until, maybe final 12 or something. So I could not help but think Aubrey's going this week, and I kept putting her low. And that's what I'm doing with David. I have him at 12, which I feel like is way too low for where he should be. But I also can't justify putting him ahead of really anybody ahead of him, because what if Wendy does get pulled from the game early this week, Manu still loses, and Wentworth doesn't go home? Who's going to go home? Probably David.
Yeah, I agree. I think that sounds about right.
So that's my fear.
Yeah, I have David at 12 too. I'm nervous about him. Not necessarily. I think having Rick is huge for him, but to Brendan's point, if he's going to actively target Kelly. I'm sure Kelly's going to catch wind of this, and then those two are going to completely go at it. And at first glance, I feel like Kelly's got Wardog, she's got Chris. I think Kelly just has more of the numbers. And so Kelly and Joe for me are essentially or Kelly and David are pretty interchangeable for me because they're on this tribe that keeps losing. They can't really hide anymore. There's nowhere left to hide. So David and Kelly, I have David at 12 and Kelly at 13. But I think they're both in a bit of trouble. And to Phil's point, I don't know when I'm going to be comfortable enough for them to not be in trouble.
Yeah. I have Julia at 13, so we can just I just want to throw that one out there. And then Brendan, who do you have at your 13?
So my 13 is Victoria. So there are a couple people, we've talked about a couple people that fall into this category of like, are they getting good strategic content because they're going to hang around for a while, or because they're on comma and we need to know something about them before they get voted out? And I just have a feeling if there is somebody like that on the comma tribe, maybe she's the one. But she's had multiple confessionals. Like in the last episode, she had a handful of them, and she seemed observant and strategic in each of them. So, but I've got her at 13.
13, yeah. I don't know what
she's done anything to like. Clearly, from what we've seen, she's not done anything to annoy anybody, or and it's not as though she's being labeled as useless in challenges or anything like that. It's just a gut feel.
I'm having a hard time with the women on comma right now because we're getting content from Aurora, we're getting content from Julie, we're getting content from Victoria, and two of those people are very against Aubrey. So I'm having a hard time if we're being set up that they're actually going to take out Aubrey, or that Aubrey's about to take one of them out. And so that I'm having a really hard time figuring out where this is going to go.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Phil, because like the Aubrey, it's being so telegraphed that you feel like it can't be Aubrey, right? I mean, it's got to be a red herring at this point, or it's simply like they're gonna keep building the. It's kind of like in Ghost Island when they built the Dom Wendell clash, but they didn't really have a chance to go at it until pretty deep in the game. Maybe they're just going to keep building this. Everybody's after Aubrey for 2 or 3 more weeks when she's out council for 4 more weeks.
Yeah.
So that might be what we're dealing with, where they're just going to keep beating that drum until she finally does go to tribal council. But I'd have a hard time thinking, even though I've got Aubrey super low, the reality is if they go to tribal council, if Kama goes to tribal council, it'd be surprising if she went, given how much attention she's getting as the person who's most likely to go.
Yeah. And she's Aubrey. Aubrey always seems to find a way. She's been on, in her first season, she was on the block right away, and she found a way to make it all the way to the end and be like arguably one of the best runner-ups ever. So it's really crazy, like, to think there's no way they're going to that easily pull this over on her, especially when they were repeating word for word what she was saying to them, to each other. It just feels like Aubrey's not a bad Survivor player. She's not dumb strategically. Like, what are we being shown right now?
Yeah, that was brutal, though.
They really rigged her there.
Yeah, that wasn't good. I have Wentworth at 14. I still you do as well?
Yep.
Yeah, she's still not safe.
Yeah, it's weird because like last week it goes right and Keith goes home, but I actually think what's more telling than anything is that Lauren didn't tell her about the idol. That's what makes me more worried for her, because if we're being told that Lauren is her closest ally and Lauren doesn't tell her about the idol, or wasn't even really looking for the idol with Kelly, it tells me that maybe she's not as close with Kelly as Kelly thinks she is. So I don't know who Kelly's best friend is on the island right now.
I think I want to attribute it more to Lauren being really smart, but I think you're right. Like there's still some form of barrier if she's not going to tell her about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think you're right, Phil. Like until one of these 4 returnees has some form of idol, they're going to be in my bottom for probably a while.
Yeah, and Kelly. I mean, there's just a lot of heat on Kelly right now, and even though Wardog really would like to keep her around because he's looking at the long game. He's not gonna. He's already given the impression that he's not the guy that's gonna stick his neck out and put up, like he's not going to dig in his heels against Rick and David to do it, right? So like I think he'll suggest that maybe they go another direction, but if the winds are blowing that way, he's just going to go with it. So yeah, I think she could be in some trouble.
Yeah, and I think what's really going to help Wentworth at this point is, I mean, Brendan, you're a phys ed teacher, and like you see that ankle of Wendy, like I don't know. I mean, you've been an athlete your entire life, right?
Yeah.
So like you see something like that, I don't see how Wendy's going to keep playing the game.
Yeah.
Side commentary.
Yeah. So I hadn't. Okay, I would be shocked if at this point, if Wendy is medevaced and she's the only boot, that would be very surprised. Medevac, and that person's going to be taken out of the game, and there's no vote after that. Like they wouldn't show you who it is, right? Like if I remember right, last season with Pat, like you didn't know. We knew that there was going to be some medical issue, but we didn't know it was Pat. We didn't know what it was. Whereas in this case, they've shown you Wendy may have broken her ankle, right? So I think that it can't be as simple as the episode ends with her getting voted out or medevaced out without a vote. Like I just don't see it. So I think more likely with Wendy, what's going to happen is she's going to persevere, or she's going to be all banged up. Dr. Joe will come and he'll say, well, it's up to you. You can hang in there if you want to. And she'll say like, all right, I'm going to keep going. And then they're going to make it look like, okay, it's either going to be Kelly or it's going to be Wendy. And then in the end, it might be Wendy after all, but they're going to make us believe that Kelly was a legitimate risk. For the psychology, I think, of the players out there is it's like, it's hard voting people out. And if you can vote people out with a clean conscience when like they have a broken ankle or their ankle so severely sprained that they can barely hobble around, like it's kind of easy to say like, look, we love you, but you just can't do it anymore. So I think if she hangs in there, probably she's gone, which is why I have Big Wendy as my number 16, jumping ahead. But so I think the likely scenario, maybe more than her getting medevaced out, is that she decides to gut it out, and then we as viewers are kind of like, we're treated to this like, okay, is it going to be Kelly or is it going to be Wendy or is it going to be, whatever. And then it's going to end up being Wendy after all. That's what.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm leaning too. And that's why, like, I can't see Wentworth going this week, because how can you get rid of a healthy Kelly Wentworth when you have somebody who is hobbling around and can barely get around like that? You're about to lose your third straight member and be down 9-6. Your numbers are dwindling. You have not made any connection at all with Kama. How can you get rid of a healthy Kelly Wentworth to keep somebody around who's having a hard time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we could, like in prior seasons, we could start to do a little math and project, like, because if you know how many episodes there are in a season, you could start to project, like, okay, well, they have to eliminate an extra person some week, right? They have to either have a double episode or they have to have a medevac plus vote out in the same episode or whatever. You can start doing the math and you can kind of figure it out. But in this case, we can't, because we don't know how they're going to handle Extinction Island, and so there's so many variables that we can't play that game. So I don't know. So you're right, Phil. Like it could be that she gets medevaced and they go ahead and vote somebody out as well. So
that's a great point. You can't get a read this season because we don't know how many people are going to be left 6 episodes into the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point. And we brought this up on the last podcast, and it was kind of as a joke, but I just want to hear what you would think about this. Wendy gets pulled, right? And her ankle's actually not broken and she can go back into the game. Can they put her back on Extinction Island? Like she didn't get voted, like if she didn't quit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I just wonder in that situation.
Yeah, so you're saying if she gets pulled from Manu Beach, can she get back onto Extinction Island?
If there's nothing wrong, like, because like sometimes they pull people, like James back in Micronesia needed to be pulled because his finger was so infected. He comes in and he's got the IV drip. But then there's been times where people have been pulled and it actually wasn't as bad as they thought, and that person was fine.
So because they're so overly concerned with the integrity of the game, like down to every last detail. So for example, like I know I'm not supposed to give too many like trade secrets away, but I don't think this one would piss anybody off. Like when they tell the players the rules of the game, right? Like they tell the audience the 10-second version, right? They tell us a little bit longer version because they want to make sure that we're all following the rules. They have a standards and practices person present to make sure Jeff doesn't give one tribe more complete instructions than another tribe. Do you know what I mean? Like they're that concerned about making sure it's all fair and that they're not giving somebody an advantage. So this is a long way of saying if they pulled somebody out of the game and they got to go and spend time in an air-conditioned hospital and get treatment, whatever, they can't put them back. Like I just I feel like at that point it's not a good look, and that person may have gotten treatment that puts them in an unfair advantage. So I can't imagine they'd ever do that. I that would be pretty surprising.
In my head, I'm thinking, and I hope that this, well, for Wendy's health, I hope this is just a red herring, but I hope like as a viewer, this is true because I think it's really interesting. But if I'm Wendy and if I don't want, like, it's bad enough where I can't perform in challenges, but it's not bad enough where I can get pulled. This is a situation where like this would be so much better for her if this was Redemption Island, because she can go there and just hang for like 2 weeks, maybe heal it. I don't know with what resources, but if she knew that there was an island, I bet she'd be trying to hang there and just re-heal, no skin off her back, and then have a chance to get back in. But that's not the game we're playing.
Yeah, she doesn't know that Extinction Island even exists. So she's thinking if I get pulled or if I get voted out, I'm done. So she's going to be fighting and clawing when in reality, if she goes to Extinction Island and Keith and Reem are both sitting there, they can just like wait on her while she doesn't have to participate in anything for 3 days, 6 days, whatever it is, until somebody quits.
Yeah.
And if she gets voted out, like I know they were playing up Keith's indecision. If she gets naturally voted out, that's the toughest decision yet. Like, do you go and get necessary help or do you keep playing? I'm sure this is like what production wanted out of this twist.
Yeah. Yeah. So the whole twist is there's so much mystery in it right now. Like the players don't know what's going on. Like we don't know what's going on. Like what happens. So we've been speculating that maybe somebody goes in at the merge, like maybe they don't, right? Maybe they wait till the end of the game. Or after the merge, does Extinction Island cease to exist or do they continue with it, right? If they continue with it, then is there a jury? Like, how does the jury work? Like who's on the jury? Are people that were on Extinction Island on the jury, or are they like, so it all, like, there's so many variables right now that we just don't have any idea how it's going to work. What do you guys think? When do you think that they're going to inform the players that Extinction Island exists? The players that are still on the beaches, like that Extinction Island exists and that somebody may be joining them again. I'm guessing it'll be at the merge. They'll send it to be like, surprise, here's somebody else. That's
what I think is going to happen. I think at the merge, they're going to say, I think that they're all going to watch the challenge or whatever it is, but I think it'll happen at the merge. It'll be like, welcome to the merge feast. You can have the merge feast and you're about to watch these people on Extinction Island battle it out. How does that make you feel? You know what I mean? So I think that could be a really cool element.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I envision it being at the feast.
After that.
God.
Brendan, you bring up a great point, because if these people are on Extinction Island, and if they're supposed to be on the jury, they're not actually watching anything that happens at the tribal councils, which is tough because that's where a lot of people win or lose the game, is in their tribal council performance.
Yeah, no doubt. Like people are working the jury every tribal council. So yeah, you could have a situation where if Extinction Island players end up on the jury, you could have somebody voting for or against a player they've never like shared physical space with.
Yeah, which is tough. Like going back to the integrity of the game, that's a weird one.
So who knows? I mean, I don't know if that's how they're going to play it, right? Like it all remains to be seen. So, and that gets to the point I was saying before. I think so much of whether the season ends up being a success or not is like I said, first and foremost, it's the players, but also it's just production decisions in game, and I think they have to be nimble and figure out kind of, respond to the way the game is going and the way the players are playing. And so I think it could turn out in a way that's sort of lackluster, or it could be awesome. Like we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is after the merge person comes back in and everyone else leaves, does Jeff tell them does Jeff tell the live players that these people are going back to Extinction Island and they get another chance, or are they going to be surprised again at final 5 or 6 whenever this group comes back? What do you guys think?
Yeah, good question. And I think because obviously it makes a big difference. Like, who are you going to send, and what does it mean when you send somebody? And are you going to try to send weak players? Are you going to try to send strong players? Are you going to send people that can take out your biggest enemy? Like all that kind of stuff, right? Like if you got Joe already on Extinction Island, you maybe want to send somebody who can give him a run for his money in a challenge or whatever. I mean, there's so many different dynamics. If you know what's going on, like I think changes the whole decision-making process for the players who are still in the game and trying to vote people out.
Yeah, and it's interesting with all these people talking about keeping around their shields. You're keeping around a shield, and then they could end up being your adversary at Extinction Island, and you kept this person around to protect you, and then you both get voted out and don't make final 3. Now you have to beat them.
Yep.
It's cool. It's cool. I mean, it could also be a dud. Remember, Redemption Island had like maybe the best premiere in Survivor history, and then after that, the rest of the season was awful. So I guess we'll see.
We shall see.
Brendan, I'm excited that you and me have the same bottom 3, though, in the same order, too, because you have Big Wendy at 16, which means who's your 15?
Aubrey.
Yeah, and I have the same thing. I go Wentworth, Aubrey, and Wendy, because I'm buying that Aubrey's in trouble. I'm just not buying that Kama's going to lose.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. The reason that they can telegraph how bad her situation is that Kama's not going to tribal council. So they can keep building it, I think, and they will keep building it for a couple weeks. But my guess is that Kama isn't going to go to tribal council, and that she's that's the reason she's not my 16 and she's my 15. But
yeah.
You know.
And honestly, it's an easy story to tell now because you've told this story of Aubrey being such an underdog, and then she never goes to tribal. We have a swap, and now she's on top because she's not with the people who were on Kama. So it makes it look like she had this great arc, but in reality, it's probably going to be a swap that saves her more than her own gameplay at this point. Alexa, you're the only one who's not done.
Yeah, I go Aubrey 14, Joe 15, and Wendy 16.
Joe.
I know I have Joe low. So this, I agree with you guys in that I buy that Aubrey's in trouble. I don't buy that Kama's going to lose, which completely goes against me putting Joe at second to last. But I think if this Kama tribe does go to tribal council, they're going to look at the two of them, and this group is smart. They know that there will be a swap coming at some point, especially after this 3rd tribal council. And they're going to say, Aubrey's desperate. Joe is not. We have to get rid of Joe right now. That's where I envision that going. But I think Aubrey very easily could go home as well. But I think you're right, Phil. Like she finds a way. Like she's going to find a way to get out of this. And then I didn't want to put Wendy at 16 because I know everyone else is going to, but that ankle just looks horrific. So I don't know how she gets out of that one. Yeah,
I agree. And you putting Joe at 15, I think is super low, but then you bring up a good point where if Kama's looking ahead and saying there's going to be a swap, and then you're saying to yourself, well, if we swap and I'm not on Joe's tribe, I'm probably going to lose.
Right.
So maybe you do get rid of them. I mean, but I don't think they will yet. Yeah.
So yeah,
Brendan, you got to take on Joe being Alexa's 15.
I don't think it's gonna happen. That's my hot take.
He's getting some. I'm seeing some side eye in the corner. I think one of schools whispering.
Yeah, I'm looking for what do you have to say about it, Will?
I think
Will says he's fine. That means he's fine.
Take it as gospel.
That's it. So we went through all 16 now. So now what we do, Brendan, and
oh crap.
This is always fun, and Alexa clearly forgot because she just said, "Oh crap!"
Yeah,
we do the
So I got to lay out my people out here, and
and I want to see because Bradley took who he had at number 1.
Well, he's mean-spirited.
Yeah, exactly. So now you have to, I mean, he took Ron, so Ron's already off the board. You could take Lauren, who's your number 2, and really keep putting the survivors in a hole, or you could try to take a risk here.
No, I'll take a risk. I'll help out whoever's next. Who's next? Oh, Carl's next.
Carl's next.
Carl.
I'll help Carl. I'll set him up. I'm not going to take all the good people. All right. How about this? I'm going to say that. All right. Who's not an obvious one? All right. I'm going to go with. I'm going to kind of go middle of the road here. So I'm not going to take like the most risky pick in the world, but I'm going to take a kind of a middle of the road pick. Huh? Okay. All right. Yeah, we're going Aurora.
Aurora.
Oh, I was thinking Aurora.
I was thinking Aurora, but
That's a good choice.
I'm gonna jump in before Alexa can. I'm taking Victoria, because it was between Aurora and Victoria. I don't want to take the same one that Brendan took, but now I've taken 3 of the women on comma. So I took Julia, and now I'm taking Victoria. They just haven't lost, and I don't know what to think of them yet. So
yeah, they're fine. Phil, I couldn't have picked Victoria anyway. I picked Victoria.
Oh, that's right, you did it.
So why don't you tell me who my second person was who I picked? Because
Aubrey was your second one. Did we hear from Vaughn? I don't think we got it from Vaughn.
Oh, we did. Okay, we'll have to ask him. Okay, so I did Victoria, and then I did Aubrey. Brendan, Aurora is a good choice. I was thinking her.
You could take Aurora.
I know. It's kind of like we're at dinner and we're ordering the same thing, though. It's just not socially appropriate. I'm gonna go with Julia Carter.
Okay. I like, so instead of all getting the same thing, we all got like a different kind of pasta that's like not that much different.
We all just got pasta with different types of sauce.
Like, so we took the 3. We took Victoria, Julia, Aurora, the 3 girls who look like they're against Aubrey in some fashion. And we'll see what Vaughn comes back with when he gets back to us. We'll post it. He took Ron and David. Those were his first 2. So yeah, that was good. So Brendan, you did the eliminator, you did the powering. Because you have any other big theories that you wanted to get off your chest that you remembered while we were going?
Throw us your takes. Throw us Will's takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, Will's
special guest.
There we go.
Do we have any hot takes? They'll be able to pick you up on the mic. All right.
My voice is groggy. Hey guys.
Hello, Will.
Right, so what do we got?
Comma doesn't lose until the swap,
Mhm.
with still another 2 episodes.
That enough
I
hot
don't
take?
know. Yeah, I guess that's a hot take, right?
All right, that's it.
I feel that.
That's
All
right. That works. I didn't know. Brendan was talking up some theories, and I was like, all right, maybe we're about to get something crazy.
All out there at the beginning of the.
Yeah,
Let's hear winner picks. We have winner picks.
Winner picks out.
All right.
you pick. I'll pick a different one than you. You pick first.
All right. So, my preseason winner pick was Eric. So I'll go ahead and I'll stay Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll say Gavin.
Gavin. All right. So see, there you go. You're both thinking the same thing. Final, like who are the final 3?
That would be back-to-back Kentucky winners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That'd be
Gavin
crazy.
is someone who, for some reason, a lot of people were down on in the preseason, but I think he's. I mean, we haven't seen much from him, to be fair, but I think he's in a really good spot, and he seems really cool.
Yeah.
He blends in like Nick did. You know,
Yeah.
he's got the similar
like too similarly.
yeah.
Yeah, they could have a big Kentucky Survivor watch party now, right? Between Jonathan, Gavin, and Nick. It's like
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
And
Who
if they're 2 for 2, and like right now, it seems like they're on their way to being 3 for 3 in terms of like content. So this could be really good if Gavin keeps up. Yeah, I'm the one thing that he's got the advantage of is nobody watched 37 who's on the season. So nobody knows that a Kentucky player just won by pretty much outsmarting them, from the get-go.
right.
Yeah. So that could be interesting. All right. Well, I guess Brendan, do you have anything else? You have any words of advice for Carl Boudreau, who's coming up next week? Who I'm sure will have his own takes for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he'll kill it. He'll do a great job.
Yeah.
I guess he must be. Is he doing it like? Is he like patching in from Australia or wherever he is, or
I think they're coming back.
I think he's coming. I think he told us he was flying back today, so he will hopefully be past his jet lag, but also maybe not. So we should probably schedule a time that would be accommodating for that.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to watch. I'll be tuned in.
Yeah. Well, good job picking an eliminator who actually benefits the next person. You might be the only person who's ever done that.
Yeah. I know there was one other. It was Sunday Burquest. So you and Sunday are the only 2 who have actually thought about who's coming after you.
Good vibes, man. Like that's the thing, right? And I don't know, like getting back to Bradley for a minute, because he loves it. By the way, anytime his name comes up, he's into it. But
oh, yeah.
Like with Bradley, he wants to make it so dark and negative all the time, and he had such disdain for me, like when I wanted to tell everybody that they were good people and that good nice things might happen to us. And I think it's just it's a result of my background in team sports. Like and Bradley, his background is in the yacht club, and I don't know the protocols of the yacht club. But I think it's probably a pretty nasty place to be, at least from my one subject matter expert. or sailing club or whatever he does. So anyway, Bradley, you're welcome. I keep giving it to you. And he probably will never watch this actually. So there it is. But next time you're at Oldfields, you could tell Bradley all about what I had to say.
There you go. Oldfields is amazing. I love Oldfields. Also, he did say he was traveling internationally. I'm using air quotes right now. So he might have an hour and a half to kill to listen to this podcast.
Yeah. No, he's on the beach. He actually texted me a picture. He's on a beach in I don't know. Has he put it out there where he was all mysterious?
It's on Instagram, so I think he can say it.
Okay, yeah. So he's in Thailand right now. So yeah, maybe on the beach in Thailand he can.
Survivor Thailand 2.0.
He wanted to troll people because he knew that I think the crew flew out the day that he was doing that with us, or around then to make, because Bradley was going to be the captain for season 39. So that's that's what it was going to be.
I need one of our fans to just get a picture of Squidward and superimpose his head onto that. That was the most perfect comparison to date.
No, I love Bradley. He's my guy. Although I will say this, one of the greatest things I've ever seen on the internet is somebody spliced together
the Skeletor thing.
Skeletor and Bradley. Do you remember this?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And his mouth, one of his mouth getting bigger and smaller. That one's unreal.
That was pretty good too. But the Skeletor is my favorite. I'm old enough to remember Skeletor. You guys are young for that, but that was really good stuff.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. The internet's
Bradley.
Hey,
Bradley gives it out. He's got to take some too. So
yeah, he loves it. It's all in fun. I love you, Bradley. I miss you.
Hey, Bradley.
All right. Well, Alexa, if you want to take us home, I'll tell Bradley to just tune in at 1 hour and 33 minutes so he can hear Brendan say that he loves him.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, so if anyone wants to join Bradley's Yacht Club, please go directly to his Instagram DMs. In the meantime, we will be back Wednesday night around 9:07 p.m. because Phil and I need to gossip about the episode a little bit before we go live. In the meantime, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. We are we're like 600 Instagram followers, almost at 1,500 on Twitter. And keep hitting subscribe on YouTube. For those of you who are commenting on my mic issues, I can't tell if they're real or not. So if you're going to troll, keep trolling. If my mic is actually being problematic, please just tell me. We'll be back on Wednesday. And next Sunday, we'll be live with Carl from Survivor David vs. Goliath. We don't have a time yet. We actually haven't talked to him in a couple weeks. So we will contact him after this. And if you're a $20 patron, send us your power rankings for next week or for this week. Please send them before Tuesday night. We ended up getting them all in Wednesday morning this week, but I know that we can be a team and get them in ASAP. That's on Wednesday.
There you go. Well, thank you, Brendan and Will. Yeah.
Thank you both.
Will, thank you for keeping Brendan in check because we know that that's really what just happened. So,
all right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
That's it.